Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sebastien, CEO of PosterLab. PosterLab, for those of you that do not know us yet, we are a platform that helps innovation leaders to manage and collaborate with their external innovation partners ecosystem. And today I'm super mega happy. We have Mikel Managold as a guest. Mike became a friend in between. I mean, we are passionate with the same topic on how can we make collaboration in between innovation partners better, faster, to bring innovation to market. As you know, this is a very important topic these days. We are facing global challenges, so it's all about finding the right partners, working well together, executing on the idea, going to market, and solving these big problems. So Mike is going to talk to us about one of his latest research today. And let's say the key topic is about what corporation can do to help on an innovation ecosystem thrives and the reason why they should engage in partnership. Great topic. Michael, I give you the floor to quickly introduce yourself, and then we go right into the question.
My pleasure, Sebastien. And as you said, we are both passionate about the same topics. The pleasure is mine to talk about what corporations can do today to make an innovation ecosystem thrive and why they should do it. So a little bit about myself. I'm Mikel Managold, and I am French-German, grew up in France, but I am a chemist by training. And after my studies, when I was thinking I was going to join an R&D division at some point, I was able to join, was in Silicon Valley, and then I really understand the power of an ecosystem and what is entrepreneurship from the best ecosystem in the world. I am now back in Berlin working for Japanese corporations. Soon it's going to be called Nitera. And there I help them scale global ventures and also establish partnerships to accelerate our innovation initiatives.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. So let's go right in the first question. You already kind of touched upon it, but why did you pick up this topic?
Yes, exactly. I kind of mentioned it already. I landed on this topic, I would say, by just life opportunities, and I didn't know what it was. I grew up in a place where there was no startup activities. I studied in a very academic environment with absolutely no spin-out structure or incentives to build companies. And when I joined Silicon Valley, it was all about startups. It was all about entrepreneurship, and it was all about the ecosystem. Corporations there have all an accelerator located in San Francisco, Johnson & Johnson, J Labs. I was working for Bayer, incubator called Collaborator. I visited the one from other corporations like Illumina or Eli Lilly, and so on and so on. So they had amazing initiatives. I would say the most advanced in the world. And I visited each of them. I visited accelerators, IndieBio, to others, Y Combinator, and so on. And I went to 120 events in just 1 year. And so what I realized there, that why are they so successful, is because how they work. It is because how they interact with each other. And when I came back to Europe, I was so frustrated. And I was like, I don't understand. What is the big difference? And the difference is the mindset and how we actually tap into the power of the ecosystem. So I published a paper with world-leading experts that know way better than me, a woman that was called Sue Bannister, and I'm going to say a few words about her. She led a $1 billion fund for Boston, Massachusetts, and Diana Joseph, who is leading actually, I would say an accelerator program for corporates to work with startups. So I landed on this topic, and now I'm passionate about it and trying to help my company and others to really change the system so we can enable more external collaborations.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, you mentioned Eli Lilly. I mean, Eli Lilly is very well known in the world of partnership and alliances. I mean, they were the first one to come up with what they call a voice of the alliance. Back in '99, there were some very interesting academic papers about this topic that we actually use as a basis also for some of the features we have in PosterLab. So I guess you are very lucky to have a talk with Eli Lilly. That's great. So on the topic, so we are basically talking about looking outside the box. So you have a corporation that have an ecosystem. So is it natural for them to go outside the box actually?
You know, the reality is that we are right now experiencing quite a massive change in our society. We used to have a different model, and the model was corporate R&D, where they were keeping all the IP, they were not talking to the outside, and they were licensing, technologies from universities without even like giving the opportunity for this university researcher to have a part of the business. And that model worked really well for 60 years, and it's not like it was failing. It was working really efficiently, and you had the biggest innovation, 3M, DuPont. Like, as I'm a chemist, I remember they had a ton of patents, and I don't want to say IBM and so on. So that model really worked. It was efficient. But now we live in a different time. And the time is that we have exponential technologies, IoT, digital, quantum computing, you have like cloud services, you have 3D printing. And so now corporations see all the changes and opportunities, but they don't have the asset. They just don't. You cannot build a Google team workforce in 2 years when that company was a ceramic supplier for 80 years. You just can't. So the only opportunity to keep up with the pace of change and helping that company transform, right? That's really what's a big difference. Before they had to innovate slightly, now they have to transform and have massive new changes in terms of asset. And for that, the only chance to survive is to do external collaborations. So that's really the big change.
Okay, got it. I mean, it rings a lot of bell. I mean, you are a chemist by training. I worked in chemical company, a big US and big German ones. I remember back in the day, one of the key, let's say, KPI of one of the company I worked for was the numbers of IPs. I mean, the number of patents we would do per year, which kind of goes into your direction. Back on the let's say the collaboration, I fully agree with you with that. A lot of people I'm interviewing, they are telling me also it's all about cross disciplinary topic. So the knowledge, like you said, is no more enough internally. You need to piggyback other people that have a specific knowledge that you need. When you bundle all this together, you have a very strong offering. And for me, it's all about the discussion about how, once you understand this, because I mean, there's a lot of companies that are not there yet, Michael, as both of us we know. But once you understand that you need to collaborate to bring an innovation to market that will help you to defend your competitive advantage or win market share. But the only way forward is to do this with your innovation partners. What it means is that you need to position yourself as a partner of choice, which is something that was never been discussed in the past. So talking about all the discussion you have, what do you see are the best practices? So we need to go outside the box because the knowledge is over there. We need to go faster. So any kind of companies or innovation leaders you talk to that you think from your point of view are doing a very good job?
Yes, so I think what I want to say, and it's really the mindset change that we have to shift, is right now today we are not talking about a player that is leading the race. We are talking about ecosystems leading the race, because in the era of multi-stakeholder economy, which is on the rise by many players like the World Economic Forum, they were calling it the Great Reset in 2020. It's not about company anymore. It's about who are the players that are going to do something together to solve a systemic issue. So I will not cite a company, but I will cite an ecosystem that have done an incredible, great job, and which I have knowledge because I worked with experts there. It's this Boston. And Boston was, in 28, a leading academic hub. And I'm saying academic hub because you had the best university in the world, Harvard, MIT, and so on. But in terms of VC, they had very little investment. They had one of the lowest of the entire United States of America. And they were like, they were thriving in the 70s, and then it completely dropped. So they had the best talents, but they had no ecosystems, no startups, no really job. So a lot of people were leaving to Silicon Valley after their studies. So they knew they had to change. And so what they did is they hired people that understand what is an ecosystem, and that person was Sue Winham-Bannister. And together with the government, so it came really from the government, they decided to have a huge initiative to transform it into academic to innovation. Innovation means commercializing technologies and not just like publishing, which is the case actually in Europe for the most part. So they hired that person, they formed a team. It was public-private. So you had not just like this public mindset, but very private and business oriented. They formed a board and had $1 billion from Massachusetts legislature to invest. So what they did, they interviewed key players of the ecosystem They mapped it out. They identified 5 gaps to transform it. The first one was the academic culture, that they wanted to make more in the translational culture in universities. So they identified this one. The second one was the workforce. You know, they understand they don't have the people to run the company. So how do you do that? You create more startups. How do you create more startups? You need to put program in place with business, incentives and funding. So they had funding to have more startups and so on. Another one that I identified was simply how do you attract more capital? How do you attract more companies? And for that, they had tax break for companies to join and so on to really create that. Then they had the gap of infrastructure. If you want to scale large biotechnology technologies from MIT, you're going to need to have production plants. So they had to attract either corporations that are going to make it available to the ecosystem, or to have to build, and then everybody could use it. So they did that. And also regarding co-working spaces, accelerator spaces, and so on, they built all that. And also, any university new campuses that they had to. And last but not least, they identified a gap that no one is working together, right? We're talking about VCs, we're talking about university, we're talking about startups, big corporations, support on organization for IP and so on. And they created events. They created a mission statement, something that will bond them all together. And that was kind of the initiatives for these 5 enablers that I just cited, that they did to make this innovation ecosystem thrive. And now it is the #1 biotech ecosystem in the world, attracting the most VC for biotech companies, with the most exit of biotech companies, more than the Silicon Valley in the US in 2020. So you can see the massive transformation, and that's really a good example everybody should know about.
So let's say more or less in, let's say 12 years, they went from, let's say, no dynamism to being the place to be in for their topic. I mean, with this kind of ecosystem. Great, very, very practical example. I like it a lot, Michael, to the point. Very good example that can be taken away by a lot of people out there. I have 2 last questions for you, Michael. How do you think, how can digitalization help to bring all these people together, to bring the knowledge together, and really to accelerate innovation? Because in the end, we are talking about accelerating innovation.
Yeah. So I will give you an example, a practical example that I was just facing, and where that was creating some hurdles. And that's related to ecosystem, innovation ecosystem, but simply business models. Right now we have 1 to 2% of all businesses that are using ecosystem platforms. And McKinsey reported, and we're happy to share this link with your audience, that up to 25% of all businesses worldwide will be involving platform business models or ecosystems. And that means that to manage that, which is going to be potentially 50, 100, 200 stakeholders involved in a business, you need digitalization, otherwise you're out of the business. And we face that right now. We were starting to build a platform at Venture Lab here in Berlin, and we were starting to have 5, 10, 20, 30 stakeholders. And you could already imagine, if you only keep emails and standard tools that we use in the past, like Excel, then you start to have different people involved, and they want to know what's going on, and transparency, and then it's a mess. It doesn't work. So you need digital tools to manage stakeholders, keep them informed. It's all about transparency, shared value, connected purpose, and it's constant communication to really make people involved in the ecosystem. It's not top down. It's like network based. It's flat, and when you can create that structure where people feel empowered to participate, because an ecosystem, what is the definition? It is something that can self-sustain. Nature is an ecosystem because it can self-sustain. And to get to that level, it cannot be just one player driving it. It needs to be everyone will participate to it. So you need to create that, and digital tools can help for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Make me think about some kind of our mission statement of PosterLab, because what we came up down to the same conclusion. And it said the idea is how can you help an ecosystem structure and scale the way the stakeholders are collaborating together in a systematic manner? Because what you are saying is that you had Excel, you have Miro, you have PowerPoint, SharePoint, but this is not scalable. You need to have some kind of a process to scale, to structure and scale the collaboration between the players to deliver on your goals. I love it a lot, Michael. Last question. How do you picture collaboration in 5 years from now?
I'm going to cite also another statistics, how it looks like. So there is an MIT and Capgemini study that they did in 2020. They published it, and they identified that only 4% of corporations, 320 global corporations, were leveraging startups for the innovation activities in 2015, and they predict by that 2025 is going to be 44%. R&D will decline because it's internal and resource extensive, too slow, and external collaboration will rise. Also, what we talk about alliances with other corporations, other institutions. Not to forget innovation labs, which is internal, I would say, ventures. That is also right now also on the rise. What's happening at the moment, many are closing because they didn't find the right structure, formats, governance that is actually working. But the model will not fade, it will just evolve and it will change. So that will really on the rise. So alliances with other corporations, investments in startups, collaboration with startups will be massively on the rise. And right now what's happening is there is no standard golden process to make it work. And that's why a lot of corporations don't do it because they don't know how to do it. They haven't seen the progress, they haven't seen the result, they haven't seen success. But when that's going to start to pick up, it will explode. And I just see it, in the next 5 years will be a really different time for corporations to innovate.
Like it makes me think about some kind of, not a metaphor, but back in the day, like you were mentioning, R&D was a lot self-centric. There was this mentality, okay, we can do it ourselves. But what you are saying is that tomorrow the idea would be to have kind of a R&D or innovation as a collaboration engine. Is we have all these people around us with all of their capabilities, all of their knowledge. How do we play together? It's going to be a game that you will have to play together with all of these people, like kind of a soccer game. So I have this guy that can make me here, AP here. Okay, I like it a lot. So R&D to slow down, acceleration of collaboration. This is a very good trend. So at least for both of us, it's good sign because basically what we are preaching for is coming forward. So that's very good. So Michael, we are at the end of our discussion today. Is there anything you would like to share with the audience?
I think what the most important, apart from structural, good digital tools, processes, and so on, what we really need to change is the mindset of employees. And because Silicon Valley is working so well, because how they think, it's not really about tools and money. And many people think if they put resources and money, it's going to change. It's not. What we need to change is how we think. So my message to people is really think about the ecosystem. Think about how it can be adding value to an ecosystem and not just for yourself or your company. Stop being transactional, start to build relationship. And that starts with really that mindset of giving first, giving to add value before you try to get value from people. And that's really something we have to change. And that's my last message for today.
Thank you. And by the way, I really advise people to follow your blog, your LinkedIn channel. Are you working on a new study, Michael, these days? I heard you are working on a new research paper.
Yes, I'm writing a new research paper to update actually the state of corporate innovation, including the fact that alliance is on the rise. I'm doing that with a professor of entrepreneurship in the US and the Diana Joseph, that is also still running many initiatives in open innovation world in Europe and in the US. So I think that's coming. We have quite latest insights from pharma world, but also others, and I'm looking forward to publish that soon.
Good, great. Thank you very much, Michael. I wish you a great day. I'm going to stop it here, and I invite you to follow us every week. Pulse of the Market. We have great guests like Michael and other people, and also sharing what I hear about collaboration in between academic startups and corporations. So stay tuned. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.